Good afternoon, morning, evening, whatever time of day it happens to be. For those of y'all who are checking in, we are live on Facebook.com/Work on Your Game, and also Instagram at Dre Baldwin. As y'all checking in, tell me your name and location in the comments, and we're going to get into this over this next 20, 30 minutes or so. Shout yourselves out so I know who I'm talking to. We're going to get into this. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points I want to share with you all about getting your connections game, your networking game, your relationship game up. And this is something that everybody can use in the world that we are in today. So shout yourselves out in the comment section. Tell me your name and location, and we're going to get into it either way in like 30 seconds. San Francisco is in the building. Shout out San Francisco. Shout out California. Shout out the West Coast. Shout out the East Coast. International. Anybody who's checking in internationally, shout out to them too. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm former 9-year pro athlete, author of 33 books, done 4 TED Talks, created this whole brand called Work on Your Game. What we do here is help professionals like yourselves perform at a higher level, be more consistent, and make more money. This is what you want to do in business. I'm going to show you how. In that order, we help people do it through mindset, strategies, and systems. Again, also in that order. And the reason I'm talking about Wesley Litch said, great meeting you at the Sandwich Summit. Shout out to everybody who was at the Sandwich Summit that was in Orlando, Florida this past Friday. I'm in California this week on at a business conference. So shout out to everybody who met me at Sandler in Orlando this past, what was that, Thursday and Friday. So shout out to everybody in the sales world. Shout out to all the sales people out there. We are the people who make the world go round. Shout out to everybody who is in the sales business. Whatever you're selling yourself, you're selling a product, a service, you're teaching other people how to get their sales game up. Shout out to everybody in the sales world. And what we're going to talk about today is related to sales. And if you're watching this on Facebook, I'm live on Facebook as well. Shout yourselves out in the comments as well. Facebook tends to be a little bit quieter in the comments as far as comments go than Instagram. But anyway, we're going to talk about connection and people and why this matters so much. If you are familiar with my work, those of you who have been following me for some time, you know that I'm always talking about building relationships and networking and connections. And those of you who have been following me for a while, you know, whenever I go to events, whether I'm speaking at an event, whether I'm going to an event as an attendee, whether I'm going somewhere where I'm just meeting up with some people that I know, I'm always emphasizing and stressing to you all that you should not be doing everything by yourself. You need to be making connections. You need to be building relationships. You need to be making friends, winning friends, and influencing people at all times. Why? Because the era that we live in today is the collaboration era. This is the era where the most opportunity is going to go to the people who have relationships and connections and they know people. Whereas in the previous era, you might have had the opportunity if you had that leverage, rather, if you had access to all the information, because not everybody can get information. But now anybody can get information because on Google, anybody can access pretty much anything. That is, if you know the right question to ask. What's going on, Johnson, over there on Facebook? Appreciate the star. I don't even know how those work, but I appreciate the star over there, Johnson. And in the world that we live in today, the person with the most leverage is the person who has the most connections, the most friends. They can make the most calls. They can call somebody and they can get something done that they don't have to do themselves. So what we're going to talk about here today is why having the connections is the biggest thing you can do for yourself moving forward. I talked about this actually at the beginning of 2021. I said this is the number one thing you can do for yourself in the year 2021, but that doesn't mean that when the year ends, you should stop doing it. So let's get into it. Number one, getting the right people around you and the wrong people away from you is the best thing that you can do to move yourself forward right now. That does not involve a specific tangible skill. You don't have to have a certain amount of money. You don't have to have a degree from some university. You don't have to have been born into a certain family. You just got to get the right people around you and the wrong people away from you. If you just do that, your life is going to improve by itself. Well, not really by itself because you did something, but if you just do those things, your life is going to improve, guaranteed. Everybody heard what I said. Let me say it again. You get the right people around you and the wrong people away from you, your life will improve. Now we're going to talk about exactly who those right people are and who the wrong people are and how to get them near you or away from you based on who they are. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I'm giving you the thesis here. This is the point. Okay. You will get more done in life via the right relationships than you will ever get done via having all the right skills and all the right hard work and all the right motivation and all the other things that you think you need to have. All right. Just the right relationships can do things. And the wrong relationships, any of you ever had some wrong relationships in your life, whether it was a work relationship, a friend relationship, a personal relationship, an intimate one, a business one, all of you understand that when you are in the wrong relationships, that will hurt you more than the right relationship can help you. So you got to get those wrong people away from you. Okay. So these are people that you learn from, listen to, are connected with in some way. You got to be associated with more good people. Okay. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to identify them and what to do to get around them in a second. So point number 2. Any of you has not read the book called Good to Great by Jim Collins, I suggest that as soon as you get off this live, you go buy that book. Go to Amazon, go to Audible, go to your local library. If you already have the book, you haven't read it yet, go read it. If you have read it again. I read that book like 3 times. I think I read the physical or the digital version of the book twice, and I did the audio book at least once. And I'm going to read it again in the future. That book is all about how great organizations get built, business organizations get built, and how they sustain greatness, because that's what the book is about. Not just an organization that became great, but an organization that became and remained great for an extended period of time. That book studied those organizations, and it found out what are the commonalities between all these organizations that were great and they stayed great. And one of the main commonalities, and there was basically 3 main principles that Jim Collins talked about. One of them was the hedgehog concept, which is what is the main thing that this business does better than anybody else. Another one was understanding what's the main driver of the revenue, what's the main thing that makes them make the most money. One thing, and the other thing is what I want to talk about here. It's who before what. This is the second principle. Who before what? Second point, rather, today. What it means is, before you do anything in your life, you need to, first of all, get the wrong people away from you and the right people around you. That's the first thing you should do before you do anything else. So if you're trying to start a business right now and you don't even know what business you want to start, first thing you need to ask yourself is, who are the right people that I want to get around me? And who are the wrong people I need to get away from you? And understand, it doesn't matter what skills they have, just the right type of people. Like, any of you ever come across a person who they just seem like a good person? Like, I want to have this person around me, even if I don't even know how their skills can help me, but I know that based on who they are and how they are as a person, I want to be associated with this individual. You want those people around you in your circle. Those are the people you want in your Rolodex. Those are the people you want in your phone. Those are the people you want to be texting and talking to. And if they're going to an event and you don't even know what the event is about, you need to go to that event. All right. They're going to be in a room. You don't even know what's happening in that room. You want to be in that room. Those are the kind of people that you want around you. And the wrong people, and again, you know when you're around somebody who's not the right type of person. You can tell by their energy. You can tell by how they conduct themselves. You can tell by how you feel when you're dealing with that individual. You need to get those people away from you. That's the next thing you need to do. Right people on the bus, wrong people off the bus. Then once you get the right people around you, then at that point, you figure out what you're going to do with them. How are we going to work together? What program can we do? What endeavors can we work on? What are we going to sell? How are we going to sell it? Who are we going to sell it to? You figure out what to do after you figure out who's going to do it. Everybody follow that. There's a businessman I heard say this once. He said, anytime he's out, let's say he goes to a restaurant or the gas station or anywhere he's at, and he comes across somebody working at a job. Let's say they're working at like an entry level type of job. So they might be working at McDonald's or Subway, or again, pumping gas at the gas station. And they just have a really great attitude and they have this great energy. He says, I try to hire that person. Even if I don't know what job I'm going to give them, I try to hire that person and get them in my world, because I see that their energy and their attitude is that's the type of person that I want around me. I will figure out where to use them. I don't even ask myself what job I'm going to have them do. I just know I want that person in my world. I get them in my world, then I figure out what they're going to do. So it's who first, then what? Somebody asked, how do you put yourself in position to find those people? I'm going to get to that. That's a good question. I'm going to get to that here in this live. So the second point here is who before what? Who are the people? Then we figure out what we're going to do. Everybody got that? When you got the right people around you, here's the key. When you got the right people around you, you can figure out anything. Any of you follows basketball, for example. There are certain players in basketball who, and at every level, whether we're talking the NBA or we're talking playing at the local rec center, there are certain players you can put them on basically any basketball team, and they will find a way to add value to that team. Why? Because they're the kind of players who can kind of adapt to any situation. They will find a way to add value because they're that good of a player. When there are other players in basketball who they can only help a team if the situation is custom tailored to how they play. And if they can't really fit into doing the thing that they mostly want to do, they actually become detriments to the team because they really don't fit into the situation. And if you follows basketball, you've probably seen that there are some players, no matter what team you put them on, they will make that team better because they can adapt. And there are other players who the situation has to be custom tailored to them. You want that first type of person. You want that person in your world. No matter what group they're in, they will add value to that group. And so let's move on to number 3. All right. So, and with the wrong people, again, they will make things worse. All right. So make sure you get those people away from you. Number 3, we are talking today about getting the right people around you. Somebody said KD prime example. Yes, he's a very good example. Number 3, question. What do you need in your life and who has it? That's the question you got to ask yourself. We're talking about getting the right people around you here. What do you need in your life and who has it? This is going to help you direct your attention. So if the question is, all right, who are these people? Here's the question you need to ask to figure that out. What do you need in your life right now? Are you trying to make more money? Are you trying to get your mindset right? Are you trying to get in better physical shape? Are you trying to find a man or a woman that you can build a life with and have kids with and get married to? Are you trying to, what else are you trying to do? Are you trying to get better with your strategy? Are you trying to get smarter? Are you trying to stop doing a whole bunch of bad things? Are you trying to get better habits? What are you trying to do in life? And who is a person who's already shown that they either are doing it or they are helping other people do it? Who are those people? You should know who these people are. It's your job to identify these individuals. So if you're a person who's trying to get in better physical shape, you need to look around who's out there who's already in good shape and they already have the kind of habits that you want to have, or who is already helping other people get in good shape and execute the kind of habits that you want to have. Your job is to identify who are these individuals that are helping people do the thing that you're trying to do. And you need to figure out, how do you get into their space? How do you get on that person's radar? How do you get that person's phone number? How do you get that person's email? How do you sit down and have a conversation with that individual? Who are the people that are helping others do what you're trying to do so that you can get in there? I mean, again, the good thing about the collaboration era, folks, is that you don't have to figure everything out on your own anymore. That era of you having to do all the hard work by yourself is over. And that era created some great people who did a whole lot of great things by themselves. But those people, even those people, if they're still in the game, guess what they're doing now? They're collaborating with other people and they're sharing what they learned and what they developed. And that's how they're doing their business these days. They don't have to do everything on their own. Nobody has to do everything by themselves anymore. So if you are out there trying to do everything by yourself, it's not that you will necessarily fail at it. It's just that you are doing things a lot more slowly than you need to be. Best thing you can do in the world today is leverage the skills and the efforts and the knowledge of other people and let other people acknowledge your skills, knowledge, and efforts. So there may be more than one possible answer to the question of what you want in life right now, but you use your focus to figure out what the main thing is that you're trying to do. And what you want to look for is what we call the big domino. What's the one thing that if you got that right in your life right now, it would make everything else irrelevant? That's what you want to focus on. So if your big domino might be, I just want to make more money. If you make more money, then all the other things that you're trying to do are easily taken care of because you got the money. Or maybe it's you just need to get your relationship right with your husband or your wife. You get that right, then everything else is not even that important because everything else will get taken care of if you just take care of this big thing, the main thing that's in front of you. So what is that main thing for you? Again, everybody needs to know exactly what that is for your business. All right. And when you're trying to do everything by yourself, here's the challenge that you're up against. Again, it's not that you're guaranteed to fail when you do everything by yourself. However, the limitation is you will eventually run out of time or you'll run out of talent. No human being has unlimited time and nobody has unlimited talent. All of us have certain talents. We have certain things that we're good at and certain things that we are not so great at relative to other people. You need to know where your talents are, and that's where you should be focusing your energy. Why? Because you'll get more bang for your buck, more return on investment when you focus on what you're great at, the things that you're just okay at. So if you're a great basketball player, for example, you should spend most of your time playing basketball rather than playing tennis. It's not that you can't get good at tennis, but every minute you spend playing tennis, if you're a great basketball player, then you're not giving your value to the thing that you're great at, which is basketball. And you probably will make more money playing basketball if you're great at it than tennis if you're just average at it. So just swap out basketball and tennis for what you do. So if you're great at helping people strategize and you're great at helping people make money, then you probably shouldn't be focusing on trying to help people do something other than the things that you're great at, because again, you're not getting a higher return on investment. You are not giving people the most value you could possibly give them, and therefore you cannot get value back. So where are your talents? What are you great at? What are your strong suits? What are your superpowers? If you don't know, then you're probably putting your energy towards something that's not producing its highest return on investment. You're being inefficient with your talent. Everybody got me? All right, and eventually all of us run out of time or talent when we're trying to do things by ourselves, because there's only so much any one human being can do. Human beings have a limitation of that we can only focus on one thing at a time. We can only physically be in one place at a time. But when you have multiple people around you, now you might be doing something in California. One of your associates is in New England. Another of your associates is in Pennsylvania. Another one's in Florida. Another one's in Georgia. Another one's in Texas. And you can have a whole bunch of stuff going on all at the same time. You're benefiting from all of it, but you don't have to actually do all the work yourself. And it may be work that you're not even capable of doing. This is why you need to have connections. You need to build a network, not just look for work, but you need to build a network. Point number 4. We are talking today about how to get the right people around you. Number 4, here's a note on the wrong people. The wrong person around you does not necessarily mean a bad person. When I say the wrong people, it doesn't mean that person is a bad person. Somebody could be a good person and a quality individual, but for whatever reason, they're just not the right type of person for what you need right now. So for example, my days playing sports, when I was playing ball, there were many times that I talked to a team, like overseas. Me or my agent was talking to a team, and I'm trying to get them to give me a contract, and they would say, look, we like you and we like what you bring to the table, and clearly you can play. However, given our situation as a team, you're just not the right fit for what we need right now, because maybe we already have a player on the roster who plays your same position, or maybe we just can't afford to hire a player like you right now, or maybe there's not enough time left in the season. So even though we would sign you if it was like 3 months ago, right now it doesn't make sense for us to sign you with how much time we have left in the season. Maybe if you hit us up at the beginning of next year, maybe we might be able to make it happen. So sometimes the wrong person, quote unquote, doesn't mean a bad person. It just means it's not a fit for what you need right now. So you need to notice. So in your life, there are people who will be very valuable in your life for a certain season. I'll give you an example. When I first came out on the internet, I used to make all these videos for basketball players, teaching them how to practice basketball, dribble, shooting, passing, whatever kind of stuff you could do on a basketball court to get better. Now, those players loved it during the time that they were playing basketball, but some of those players eventually got to the point that they weren't playing basketball anymore. Maybe they decided, you know what, basketball is not going to be my thing. I'm going to go to college. I'm not going to play on a team. I'm going to start my own IT firm. Or I'm going to get a job. I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to be a banker. So the stuff that I was talking about, how to do a crossover dribble or how to make a jump shot, was not relevant for them anymore at that point in their lives. Doesn't mean that what I was saying was not good. Doesn't mean there was anything wrong with me or wrong with them, simply because it was simply that the message that I was sharing at that time was no longer relevant for what they needed at that season in their lives. You get what I'm saying? So if I'm talking minds, like right now, I'm talking about relationships. There's right now somebody who plays basketball. Like, for example, I saw my nephew today. He's, I think, 11 years old. And he's into basketball. But when I was playing basketball, he wasn't old enough to even know what I was doing. So to him, I'm not relevant to what he's looking for right now because he's into basketball. But he didn't see me when I was doing the basketball stuff. Now I'm on the business stuff. This stuff doesn't matter to him. But if had he seen me in the basketball days, it would be very relevant to him. So it depends. Sometimes you got to catch people at the right time. And sometimes you are just not the right person for that person at that time in their lives. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. So a bad person simply sometimes is just bad timing. So getting the wrong people away from you does not mean they have to be a loser. Doesn't mean they have to be a negative person. It just means they're not a fit for what you need in this moment. So you have to be selfish about that in knowing who you need and who you don't need so you can get the wrong people away and the right people in. Point number 5. And this will answer the question somebody asked earlier. We are talking about getting the right people around you. Everything that I just talked about, within yourself, you have to become that right person. And you got to know who you're the right person for. Again, it's not everybody all the time. You got to know who you're the right person for. So in any kind of marketing and sales world, we call this having an ideal client or having an avatar or a target customer. That means you need to know, based on what you bring to the table in the marketplace, what is it that I offer and who is the ideal person that actually wants or needs this? Let me say that again. Who is it that wants or needs what I offer? Who am I the ideal person for? So if I'm a personal trainer and I know how to help women who just had a baby lose their 30 pounds of baby weight, then who's my ideal client? My ideal client is not some basketball player trying to make it to the NBA. My ideal client is not some dude who goes to CrossFit 4 times a week. My ideal client is who? My ideal client is a woman who is about to have or just had a baby who wants to lose that baby weight. That's my ideal client. Now, it doesn't mean that I can't help the basketball player. It doesn't mean I can't help the guy who goes to CrossFit or the guy who rides his bike 60 miles 5 times a week. No, it's not that I can't help them. It's simply that my target, my ideal client is that mom who just had the baby. That's what I need to be focusing on. I need to get myself in front of those people so that they know that I exist and that they know that I can help them. And that's what I need to be focusing on. And again, focusing on somebody doesn't mean you can't catch some other people in the process. But when you have that bullseye, any of you ever played darts before, you've seen a dartboard, there's a bullseye in the middle. Then you got another circle and another one and another one. You got those concentric circles. Some people from the outside circles will still come into your world, even though you're not specifically targeting them. So think about a company like Apple. They have a target customer. You might not even be Apple's target customer, yet you still bought the phone. So you need to know who that is for you. Who is your target customer? Who's the main person that you want around you? And who are the people you don't want around you? You should know that as well. So you need to be a person that your target client wants to keep around. And also you want your non-targets, the people who you don't want to serve, you want them to not want to be around you so that you don't waste time, they don't waste time, and nobody wastes energy talking to each other, knowing that y'all are not the perfect fit for each other. But for those for whom you're a good choice, you got to make sure that you're not missing out on that opportunity, making sure that you're putting yourself out there so that they can find you and that you can find them. All right, that's what it means to get the right people around you, and you got to be the right person. And again, right does not necessarily mean you are more good than somebody else. It means you are the perfect target for that person at that point in their lives. If you are a person who, let's say, for example, when I was playing ball, there were certain people at that time were perfect for me. Like, let's say somebody who was a trainer or another person who was a player or a basketball agent. Whereas these days, is a personal trainer the target person for me? No, because I'm not looking for one. Or another basketball player? No. Or somebody who's a basketball agent. I could be cool with a basketball agent, but what can they do for me today? I'm not trying to get a job playing basketball. So I don't really need an agent. But an agent needs to be looking for not players like me who don't play. They need to be looking for players who are playing, who want to sign a contract, because those are their target people. Does that mean that Dre's a bad person or the agent's a bad person? No. It just means we're not right for each other right now, given our circumstances. So it's about timing as much as it's about ability. So let me recap these 5 points. If you got a question about anything I said, put it in the comment section right now. So I'm talking about getting the right people around you. And again, right is relative, everybody. If you can understand one thing, understand that right is relative. Number one, you want to get the right people around you and the wrong people away from you, because the right people can help you achieve more faster than you can ever do on your own. You are not good enough to do everything by yourself. Number two, read the book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. He talks about the who, then what principle. That's get the right people around you first, then figure out what you and those people are going to do. Don't figure out what to do, then get the people. Figure out who the people are, then with those people around, figure out what you're going to do. Because if you have great people around you, you can figure out pretty much anything. Number three, the question is, who do you need in your life and who has it? Or what do you need in your life and who has it? It's a better question. That would direct your attention towards you identifying those right people. Once you ask yourself and you can answer who has what you need, then it'd be easier for you to decide. And then you can ask people, if you know people who are connected and people who have information, people like myself, hey, where do I go if I'm looking for this? Or what about this? Or where can I start with this? Now you can start going in a directed, focused direction towards the things that you're looking for, and you'll start finding the right type of people. Number four, when I say the wrong people, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It just means it's bad timing for you at this moment. So for example, if I'm a personal trainer who helps women lose their baby weight after they had a child, a woman who hasn't had a kid in 10 years, that's not my target client. My target client is a woman who had a kid 10 days ago, because they're trying to lose that baby weight right now. Whereas the one who had a kid 10 years ago, either they already lost the weight or they're not caring about losing weight, and they don't have the same need, this specific need that the one who had a baby 10 days ago has. So you need to know who your target person is, who's the ideal person for you right now in the moment. Again, it doesn't mean that they're a bad person. It's just not the right timing for you in the moment. And number five, within yourself, you need to become that right person for a specific audience. You need to know who you're the right person for. Who is a specific person who you're trying to reach? For me, specific person I'm trying to reach is an entrepreneur who's probably at over 150K a year, who is looking to take their business to another level. They want to make more money. They want to be more consistent in the money that they're making, and they want to take their income to higher and higher levels. Now, it doesn't mean somebody who's making 80K can't be helped by me. It doesn't mean somebody who's making 600K can't be helped by me, but I know who my target is. I know exactly who I'm trying to reach, so I can reach them and help them get to where they want to go. So sometimes you want to push away the wrong people. Sometimes you want to make sure you're clear on who the right person is. But either way, you want to be zoning in and targeting in on that right person. But for those for whom you would be a great choice, make sure they know it. Make sure that they know you be a great choice for them. So you got to figure out your process for getting your name out there and your message out there and your marketing right, so that the right people who would be helped by you actually know that you exist. So if there is a question, put it in the comment section. I'll wait a minute or two and see if I can see if there are questions I need to answer. I'll address them, and then we'll wrap it up. So, is it possible to have a niche that is too specific? Not necessarily. It depends on what you want to get out of it. That is the answer to the question. That's not a yes or no. It depends on what you want to get out of it. So if there's a certain amount of money that you want to make, for example, from your niche, then you have to ask yourself, how big is the market, and how much of the market do I want to meet? How much of the market do I want to reach? So let's say your target, who's that? Heartbreaker, I appreciate the badge. So if there's a target audience that you're trying to reach, and let's say you have a target audience and the audience is only like 100 people, but you need to make a certain amount of money, you got to ask yourself, okay, if I get this percentage of the market based on my product costing this much money, will that equate to me making the kind of money that I want to make? If the answer is yes, then your niche is fine. If the answer is no, then even if you sold everybody in that niche, you're not going to make enough money. So the answer is, it depends. It depends on other factors. I don't have enough information to tell you that. But for the most part, usually people's niches are not too specific, because there are 8 billion people on the planet. You don't need to be known and famous to everybody. You just need to be known and famous to the type of people who you can actually help. And then you got to figure out how to let them know that you're there, so that they know they can get help from you. And then you got to figure out, how do I get those people to actually get my help? How do I get them to hear me and see what I'm offering, and then go do what I need them to do, i.e. go buy my product, get on a call with me, sign up for my course, come to my event, whatever it's going to be, get my subscription, whatever that thing is that you need them to do. So there are other factors that kind of go into me being able to answer that question more specifically. The person who asked that, I would need more information. So any other questions on this? That question was asked by, who asked that question? Young Native. So any other questions on this topic? We're talking about getting the right people around you. You want to get the right people around you. You got to, first of all, identify who the right people are. Secondly, identify what is it that these people have. And you can actually do this in the other direction. This can be the first one. What is it that those people have that you need? So you need to know what you need. What are you missing that you want right now? How do you get those right people around you? And then get the wrong people away from you, and then figure out, what are all you people going to do? Once you get those people around you, what are you going to do? So the best way I know to get around the right type of people, if you have no idea where to begin, if somebody's watching this, they have no idea where to begin. Where do I even start with all of this? Because maybe you don't even know what you want right now in life. Is, I would say, go to events. That's the number one way to do it in the world that we're living in. The day that I'm recording this, go to events. So when you hear about an event that's talking about anything you're interested in, whether that's an event for fitness, is an event for making money, is an event for real estate, is an event for assets and investment, is an event for personal development, is an event for mindset, is an event for, if you're doing something specific. Let's say you're in the real estate business and you want to learn more about flipping houses, or you're in the real estate business, you want to learn more about Airbnb. You're in the coaching business, you want to learn more about getting coaching clients, whatever it is, and you find or hear about an event that is specifically about helping people do that thing, get a ticket and go to that event. Even if you don't really know the people like that, you don't even know who the person is. If they look like they have an idea what they're talking about, and they look like they know more than you know, get a ticket and go to the event. Why? Because number one, you're probably going to learn at least one thing that you didn't know at the event. Number two, you're going to meet other people who are on the same path as you. They're trying to learn the same thing you're trying to learn. Some of them will know more than you. So when you make connections with them, now you can learn from them as well as learning from the people who are on the stage. And number three, that's where you start to build your relationships. You start to get around other people who are trying to learn as well. Other people who are trying to get knowledge, and they're trying to step their game up the same way that you are trying to step your game up. So this is why I'm such a big advocate of being in the room and not being on Zoom when it comes to getting information and learning. Why? Because when you go to events, first of all, you invested in going to the event. You're going to meet other people who invested. And when you meet other people who invested, you're meeting the type of people who are serious about going somewhere. And they're willing to put money behind going somewhere. They're not just talking about it. They're actually doing it. Those are the people who you want to be around. So if you want to get started, just the starting point for any of this, find an event where somebody is teaching about the very thing that you're interested in. You can just look that up on the internet or ask somebody you know, they'll tell you. And then go to that event, whether it's local and it'll take you an hour, or you need to buy a ticket, you got to get a hotel room, whatever. Usually you're going to be around other people who have also, not usually, all the time rather, you're going to be around other people who have invested in themselves. Those are the people you want to be around. People who invest in themselves are usually people who are going somewhere because they're willing to put money behind what they're saying. They're not just talking about it. And people are very emotionally attached to their money. So you get around other people who are investing money, usually you're going to be around the right type of people. In my experience, that's what happens. So I've been at events. This is my second event I'm going to be at this week. These are the kind of people I want to be around because they're investing in themselves. Question is, what's some great networking tips? I did a reel on networking at events a couple weeks ago. Probably go back. It was about a month ago, actually. I did a reel on that, Life of Gilu. I'll probably talk about that. I'll talk about that in a future video, but I got a lot of content around networking and building relationships. So if you haven't seen that stuff, if you're new to me, look that up. You'll see it. But maybe in the future, I'll do a live around that topic of networking. But look at that reel that I did. It's probably about a month ago. You just scroll back in my feed on IG. All right, everybody, I got a call coming up in 1 minute that I need to hop on. So I appreciate you all's time. Hope everybody's having a great Sunday afternoon. We'll be talking again soon. Work on your game.